A very good evening, everyone. I am CA Neerav Agrawal, the moderator for this webinar. We are delighted to welcome you all in the webinar being organized by the CP Committee of ICAI. It is my privilege to be the moderator for the webinar on leveraging topic. Just a second, sorry. Here, the topic leveraging technology for automated GST practice and ethical standards for chartered accountants. In short, while we start this webinar, first I would like to appraise you about the CP committee. In today's ever-changing professional scenario worldwide, the biggest challenge the professional face is how to stay on the top of the game while adapting to the new requirements and the norms. Therefore, it is imperative to aim to be up to date to offer unique guidance, influence others while their innovative approach and expertise. It is also vital to stretch old ideas beyond traditional boundaries to create new perspectives. In this context, the CP committee facilitates professionals to maintain, improve, and broaden their knowledge, skills, and expertise, which is required to achieve their professional goals throughout the webinars, seminars, and etc. The programs for this evening is as follows. We have two sessions of 1 hour in each. Embracing Technology will be the first session taken up by CA Tapas Uparelia, where he will be delivering on leveraging technology for an automated GST practice. And the second session will be taken up by CA Dr. Urvisha sir, who will be dealing with the topic ethical standards for chartered accountants. Our eminent speakers will talk about the above mentioned subjects and emerging areas of professional interest. With this brief, I'd like to introduce you to the first faculty for the session, CA Tapas Ruparelia, who is also a very good friend of mine. He has more than 13 years of professional experience in assisting clientele across diverse industries such as EPC, manufacturing, and service sectors in the areas of GST, service tax, VAT, excise, and foreign trade policies. He is passionate about the technology and loves to automate routine tax and finance compliance process using advanced Excels, VBA, Power Query, data analytics, softwares, and RPA. He has been a special invitee to the GST and Indirect Tax Committee of ICI and has also served as a co-chairman of IDT Committee of Ahmedabad branch of WIC of ICI. With this brief, I'll welcome CA Tapas Ruparelia, the first faculty for the session. Tapas sir, welcome for the seminar.
Thank you very much, Neerav bhai.
Tapas sir,
Just to
we are
Am I audible?
privileged
Yeah,
to have the attendance of over 250 members present now.
amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Neerav
I
ji, for the
request Tapas
wonderful.
sir to please take the charge and please go ahead with your session.
Thank you. Just to confirm, am I audible properly?
Yes, sir,
Team, can somebody
100%.
confirm?
100%, 100%, Tapas sir. Tapas sir, the last 10 minutes, with your permission, we'll take up question answer session.
Definitely, sure.
Thank you, Tapas sir.
Thank you very much, Neerav ji, and would like to extend my thanks to the CP committee for arranging this session. And thank you, Neerav bhai, once again for the wonderful introduction. Privileged to be having an opportunity to be taking a session along with CA Urvisha, who has been a mentor, who's been teaching audit since, I mean, I was a student, so privileged to have him alongside while I'm taking this session. And a topic which is very close to my heart, which we'll be discussing today. I will just share my screen. I've shared my screen. I hope that is visible.
Yes, Tapas sir.
Okay, thank you. So, the topic is leveraging technology. Uh, we have seen that there's a lot of development and hype around implementation of technology. It has been making slow progress since past couple of years, but over the past 2 years, with the advent of generative AI, we have seen a huge boost to different technology solutions. Things that were only at an idea stage have come to a foreground. And I think numerous sessions have been done at various forums. In fact, our institute has in fact, set up an entire department called AI in ICI, led by the able chairman who have been doing a fantastic work in showing the different ways in which chartered accountants can use technology and enabling chartered accountants to use technology. And it really is important in the present area for all of us to learn technology if we really want to do quality work, save time, and be running at the forefront onto the race. I will uh, quickly take through this presentation first and then also show practical solutions of the different tools that I speak about in my presentation. And while many of you would have guessed it, this entire presentation, the draft of it has been prepared by an AI software called Gamma. And then I have made my relevant changes. You will see a lot of images. Part of it have been created manually, which is the next image. When it comes to text, the AI are still not yet there where they can put in different text together. However, when it comes to pure image generation, the AI is doing a fantastic work. When it comes to generation of various codes, the AI softwares are doing a fantastic work. So we'll see how to make utilization of all these different technologies that are available right now. And in the present scenario that we are living in, the time is of no code and low code softwares where one is not really required to know any sort of coding. If you can just have a basic understanding of how a simple code works, then I think you are good to go. Rest, all the drafting, etc., is taken care of by the uh, is taken care of by the AI softwares. This is how currently most of our tax processes or the compliance processes look like. You receive the data comes in from the client from different sources. You have to consolidate all those data, and then you have to make adjustment. You have to massage the data so that it goes to a proper software if you are using a proper software, or even if you want to make a different reconciliation, in that case also it is very essential to first convert the data into a proper format, review it, and then upload it into the desired format, and then file the returns or do the various reconciliations, etc., which is a really cumbersome process. The data that comes in most of the times is not in a proper format. You have to convert it, you have to realign the columns, you have to convert the data type. There are a lot of activities that happen before the data is actually converted into a proper structured format. And once that is done, uh, one can progress for filing or preparation or moving ahead with the returns or whatever activity one needs to do. Now, using various technologies, these again coming to the impact of this current process is there are a lot of resource constraints. Say, for example, if you have to file your GST returns by doing the reconciliation, the GSTR 2B gets generated on the 14th of the month, and you have to do the reconciliation and file your GSTR 3B by the 20th. Now imagine having lakhs and lakhs of line items and having to do this for multiple locations. There are companies who have presence across the country, having 36, 39, or some states even because they would have more than one locations. They would have a lot of GST registrations, which would need one to be working on a lot of data. And imagine this at a chartered accountant's office who has multiple number of clients doing this entire activity within the 6 days that you have. The current process is flawed in itself and has a lot of issues, and if it is not driven automatically, it is prone to human errors, spending more time in the day-to-day work, and that again leads to the same circle of human errors, because if one person keeps on doing one and the same monotonous work every day, there is a high chance that that person might overlook something because of the monotonous kind of work, and which might lead to a lot of errors. And again, if these errors come in, this would entail into either interest or penalty or different actions from different stakeholders. Again, if you are spending more time on only massaging and changing the data appropriately, the actual work of applying the brain and taking out insights from the data is something that is missed out because of the hurry to do the relevant work. So, why organizations or professionals are slow in implementing technology? I think this is also something that really needs to be addressed and understood. And identifying the reasons, of course, would not be enough. Once once people realize that using these technologies, not only the problems or hiccups that are being envisaged may not be as big as it is being seen, but the benefits fairly outweigh the problems that are envisaged, one would really then look into implementing the different solutions that are available. Uh, Number one, I think based on our discussions, what we see is the upskilling challenges. A very apt example here would be, I think many of the participants would be aware that our institute has launched, I think 13, 14, or probably more than that, different GPTs. So Chat GPT, we are aware it's an AI technology. It's a conversational bot wherein you go, you ask your questions, you do your brainstorming, and that bot gives you a response based on the huge uh, amount of data it has been trained on, and the models which has been trained by the scientists over a period of time. So this chat gpt has a facility to have custom gpts wherein you can have your own data set fed into the language learning model and train it to give specific answers based on the specific materials that you give it. Now I was going through my LinkedIn feed one day and I saw a post from a chartered accountant who said that I have tried these using these GPTs that the institute has published, but I feel that they are really not up to the mark. And the use case that chartered accountant shared was that I went to three different GPTs and I said clause 44 of the Form 3CD of Income Tax Act. Now, there is a fundamental issue in the way the question has been asked. The first point is the person said that I have asked this question to three different GPTs. Now, one thing here to note is that there are 14 or whatever number of GPTs that are made available by the institute. All these GPTs are trained on specific knowledges. There is a separate GPT for GST, there is a separate GPT for direct taxes, there is a separate GPT for accounting standards, so on and so forth. Now, if you go to a GPT which has been trained on accounting standards and you write clause 44, it really doesn't know what to do. It would search the entire data which is there with it, try to find out what clause 44 is, and then try to link it as to where the Income Tax Act comes into the entire data it has been trained on and try to give you some answer. One thing fundamentally has to be understood that when you deal with a technology, you have to first understand how the technology works. So going to an accounting standards GPT and saying that what is clause 44 of the Income Tax Act, or even not even saying what is clause 44, just writing clause 44 of the Form 3CD, that really doesn't help. The fundamental way of handling or getting a proper response from the uh, in the present example, generative AI is up to us. The more effective our prompt is, the more effective the answer we get. So this is the fundamental challenge that we have been saying is that it has been difficult for the professionals and organizations to keep up with the developments in the technology, learn this technology, and then make use of it. So that is probably the main important reason why this technology is still not being used at many places. Uh, Second is resource hunt. While you might update or upskill yourself, most of the task has to be done, or many of the task has to be even done by other people. Finding out the right talent who knows the right technology and understands how to use a particular technology also becomes a task. Fear of dependency. Many people fear that if we are more dependent on the technology, then we might lose our forte. Keeping up with the pace of technology is what I discussed. One important again, I would consider this to be the second important aspect in or a challenge in implementing technological solutions into a normal workflow of chartered accountant is quantifying the benefits. When you incur a cost of implementing a technology, the benefits are generally received over a period of time. So calculating a return of income or an ROI on a specific technology solution is very challenging, and you need an expert advice to guide you as to how you can calculate the real benefit. The A no-brainer answer to it would be to see how much time is this technology saving you, and the time it is being saved, the whatever resource was working on it, you can calculate the cost of that resource and see what additional work this resource can do and how you can benefit from it. And the last part is, which comes at a lower level, is uh, seeing the development in the technology. People might think that my job may be at risk. And I think the last slide that I would want to show would really see that at whatever level you are, and if you really learn to use technology, it is not something which works against you. It is something which works with you, amplifies you, and gives you superpowers, is what I would want to discuss. And I think the biggest reason, the points that we discussed about upskilling of technology, not having the right resources, sometimes it boils down to the mindset as to whether you really want to understand how these things are going to benefit you, or you still want to keep doing whatever you were doing, which aptly is demonstrated by the image on my screen. Uh, Now, enough about what are the problems and how why these technologies are not being implemented. Let us look at some technologies which are there, which are most of the times free to use or very cheap. And let us also see certain practical examples on how these different tools are going to help you. The first is, of course, the generative AI tools. And what I have done is probably just to also show how good these engines are in also generating images. So when it comes to generating PPT, we are till now used to going to Google and finding out relevant images for us. But I think you can use Copilot or even ChatGPT to generate images that you want. What I have done is the different tools that I will be demonstrating or discussing today. I have compared those tools with different superheroes. I'm a big science fiction fan, a big fan of movies where, the science fiction characters are involved, specifically Batman, Iron Man, etc. So I've tried to uh, uh, demonstrate as to a normal chartered accountant equipped with his domain knowledge of his tax, finance, accounting, and of course auditing knowledge, when starts using these technology tools, becomes a superhero having the tools that superheroes have. So my first superhero tool, which might make you a Batman of your respective your respective area of work, is generative AI tools, which is ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. These are three. I mean, of course, there are many other Grok, uh, many other generative AI tools also available in the market, Meta. But I think these are the three which are widely being used by most people, and these are the ones which can give you a lot of solutions. So this is where this image has been generated through an AI, wherein I show the superhero working on a laptop. So coming back to generative AI tools, let us first understand. Okay, let us do it this way. I will first quickly discuss on first few tools, and then I will do a practical demonstration of what I would want to share about these different tools that I will be discussing. So first, as I said, is generative AI tools that we discussed. Second, Second is Power Query. Most of you would have heard. We are used to working in Excel. Power Query is a functionality which is available in Excel, which you can train once. You can show the Power Query all the steps just one time, and then whenever you have to perform that repetitive action again, Power Query can do it for you, and it can handle large amount of data without getting slow. We are used to working on Excel, and the moment the data crosses a lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakhs number of row items, we feel that Excel lags when it comes to working on it. And the way we are used to doing reconciliation, specifically GST, we do the concatenate of the GST number versus the invoice number in our PR register, and then do the concatenate of the GST number and invoice number on the GSTR 2B data, and then try to apply a VLOOKUP. And if the data is also not clean, then there are so many other formulas which are there within the sheet. Power Query is something which understands all your commands at a column level, and then implements each and every step that you do, and it can be done on a repetitive basis, just like once Dr. Strange has learned his techniques, he can easily implement it and transport, just like he can transport humans from one place to another. I look at Power Query as modification of data from one particular format to the other particular format, which can actually uh, serve you as the final data where you can use it and then uh, perform the necessary functions that you want. I'll take a pause there, and let us see a practical example on generative AI. I've just stopped sharing my screen. I will again share it. Just I'm going to the proper screen. So the example that I want to show in case of generative AI is making use of generative AI to either drafting replies, or let's say summarizing certain sessions. All of us are aware that recently there was a judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court in the judgment of Safari retreats, which was long awaited, wherein earlier the Orissa High Court had said that certain provisions of the GST Act, that is Section 16 5 clause C and clause D, are to be read down, and the credit is to be allowed when these inputs are received for construction of a property which is further let out. Now this case traveled to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did give its view, but then while giving its view, it has also remanded the matter back to the High Court by giving certain directions. And there are various forums wherein different types of discussions are happening. And I came across three different videos by three senior advocates who have actually dealt with the case not only before the relevant High Court but before the Supreme Court as well. So, and not only these three, I think the different associations there are, most of them have had different sessions on the Safari retreats by calling the superstars of indirect taxation, the stalwarts of indirect taxation. But when it comes to somebody like me, who normally is not able to spend time of 1 or 2 hours a day, it is very frustrating for me if I'm not able to view or look at the sessions of these stalwarts. So I mean, and this is a very recent case, and I was figuring out a solution, and I came across a solution. So now, how you can leverage the how you can leverage the generative AI capabilities. So first is mm, let me just quickly hide this. Yeah. So this is one of the videos which is there. Let me quickly refresh it. So there is a Google Chrome extension called Node GPT, which gives you a YouTube summary. Now this video of uh, the session, one of the sessions on I'm just pausing the video here. I'm not even running the entire video, but as soon as I click on transcript, it gives me the entire transcript of the entire discussion that has happened on the even with different timestamps. This software also is able to give a summary of the entire discussion, but I would want the summary to be made in a fashion that I want. So what I will do is, because this tool has already generated the transcript for me without even starting the entire video, what I will do is I will go ahead and copy the transcript. In order to save the time, what I've done is I've already done this. There are three sessions available on YouTube, the link of which is here. I have gone to the each video. This is the entire transcript of all the three sessions which I have copied into a notepad. And I will now be taking help of ChatGPT to help me summarize all these three sessions or all these three discussions in the manner I want, or in specific in a specific manner, asking specific questions. So I've drafted a prompt, and if you observe, I have not simply said that, "Hey ChatGPT, I'm going to give you I am going to give you a transcript of three sessions that have there that are there on YouTube. Please summarize." No, a prompt is the fundamental thing that one has to ensure goes properly. And there are four components or there are certain important components of a good prompt which would give you a good result. So the example that I gave earlier of a chartered accountant saying on LinkedIn that the chat GPT did not give me a proper answer. If I were in his place, I would have gone to the relevant GPT first. In this case, he wanted to ask a question on income tax. I would have gone to the income tax GPT of ICI. Then I would have written as to what my expectation is, who am I, uh, what is the task that has to be done, and how is the task that has to be performed. So who am I? When I say who am I, it means it has to take a persona. One has to understand that models like ChatGPT or Gemini or even Claude, these are all large language models, which means that they have been trained on trillions of gigabytes of data, and they have been trained by the data scientists to give specific responses. And all these generating generative AIs can do is predict one word after another. I will repeat. Only thing that your generative AI tool does is predict one word after the another word. Once it has put one word, it cannot go back and change it, which is where we have seen the cases of hallucinations, people observing that ChatGPT is just making things up. It is making things up because probably it was not given a context, it was not expressly told not to make things up. It was given a prompt in such a way that it has to perform, and it has been trained in such a fashion that unless and until something illegal is asked or something which should not be ideally done, so there are certain guardrails which these data scientists put on these LLMs. If these rails are not, I mean, if the question or the answer that is coming, it is if it is within the rails, it is if it is within the guardrails, it is not something which is illegal, etc. In that case, the chat GPT wouldn't hesitate, because all it is doing is predicting one word after another. If it felt that this word after the another word felt correct, it would put it without actually verifying as to whether that word is correct or not. So the ideal way is to first give a persona uh, uh, to the chat GPT. In this case, I have said that pretend that you are a chartered accountant having an expertise in the field of litigation of GST in India. Now, giving that persona is important, because then the trillions of gigabytes of data that the chat GPT has, or the learning that it has got, it will go and focus into that area which is relevant for this persona. So that is number one. Then giving a background or the context, in which I have written that recently there was a judgment by the Supreme Court concerning so and so under the GST Act. Considering that judgment was on a very important aspect, many advocates have taken sessions on this topic, and then giving a proper task to it. So what I have done is I have said that I will provide you transcripts of three different sessions conducted on this topic by three different persons. And I have also explained that out of these three, two sessions are being taken by advocates who had represented the taxpayer, and one third session is is a session which is taken by the representative on the government side, the additional solicitor general. Now giving the task. So there was a persona, there was a background, and now giving it the task. I want you to analyze the transcript and let me know the summary of discussion in the following manner. So not only giving the task, also telling the chat GPT or the generative AI as to how I want that answer given to me. So I have written that I want common points which are highlighted by all the three speakers. I want unique points highlighted by all the speakers. So unique point highlighted by one speaker which has not been highlighted by another speaker, points which have been highlighted in favor of government, points which have been highlighted in the favor of the taxpayer, and then what is the way forward. These are the instructions that I have given to chat gpt. Now before going to chat gpt, there is also one important point that needs to be seen, is that if you see the transcripts are humongous. I don't know whether you are aware or not, but then Chat GPT has a certain limit of the message it can read each time. It cannot read the entire data. I cannot put all the three transcripts at one go. It will only read the data till the number of tokens it has been allowed. So each word or a specific number of characters amounts to a token. So there are a specific number of tokens depending upon the model that you are using and depending upon the LLM, either Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, which you are using. There would be a specific number of characters or words that or the LLM would be able to read. So there is a uh, portal called AI Chunker. What this portal does is you can go to the portal, say that give your instruction. I would then go to the chunker and say that, look, these are my instructions. I will give it an instruction. I will say that uh, you will be receiving transcript of three YouTube three YouTube videos in chunks. Your task is to wait for all the chunks and then follow the instructions. Then I have what I would do is uh, I would go and first give my instructions, and then along with it, what I will do is I will go here, copy the entire transcript, put it there, go down, take the second transcript, paste it, go to the end of it, and paste the third script, and then I will submit. So what this software is going to do is give me different prompts. All I have to do is go to ChatGPT, select a new chat, go to the go to the first prompt, just click on copy, come to ChatGPT and paste it. It has done the job. It has given the proper instructions that you will have to wait for the chunks. It will also give the different chunks that are there at the end of, if you see at the start of each chunk, it gives proper instructions. Your task is to only confirm the receipt of the chunk. So what I'll do is I'll just quick click on copy prompt. I will go to ChatGPT and I will paste it. What ChatGPT will do is chunk number 1 out of 9 received. I will keep doing this for all the 9 chunks. My entire data would have gone to ChatGPT. It will then at the backend merge all these entire chunk and make a study out of it. So I've already done that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to paste all the 9 chunks one by one. This is how I have done it. All six, the different chunks have been given. Now, as soon as my last chunk was complete, uh, you might observe that when I did this year, there were 10 prompts, but when I'm going to my chat GPT where I've already done the exercise, it shows 7 chunks only. When I actually did this exercise, if you had observed, when I had started my when I started with the exercise of chunking, the token amount was mentioned here. Since I'm using the paid version, although the amount is higher, what I had done is I had given it a token amount of 4096. You can still try to go a little bit higher, but I did not want any problems in the demo, which is why I took a conservative amount. When you see nine different chunks, it was because the token amount was 3000. Because I increased the token amount, my chunks were of a lesser amount. Now, my I have pasted all my chunks, and if you see now, the answer is there on the screen. All my data has gone into ChatGPT. It has understood the instructions, and it has finally given me the analysis that I want. It says the common points highlighted by all the three speakers is the distinction between plant and machinery and plant or machinery. So if there is anybody in the audience who has actually gone through any session or has read the judgment of Safari Retreats, would know that this is actually the main controversy on which the Supreme Court had passed this judgment. This was the main point on which the entire judgment has been based on. What was the purpose of restriction, the functionality test, which has been discussed, and the functionality test was very specifically with respect to clause D only. It was not for clause C. There was different observations for clause C. Similarly, if you remember, my second requirement said that I want unique points which have been highlighted by each speaker. So all the speakers, it has analyzed the different transcripts, and it gives me what are the different points of highlights that each speaker has given. So the first speaker emphasized the cross reference of income tax definition and judicial interpretations in absence of GST specific definitions. If you have read the judgment, you would know that the definition of plant was not there in GST, which is where the definition of plant was Income Tax Act was referred to for this. Similarly, the second advocate referred to fiscal neutrality and also compared the GST laws with the provisions available in the other country, because Indian GST has been more or less taken from the European Union and other mature jurisdictions. It has the second advocate also highlighted the inconsistency uh, amongst the state GST laws, amongst the Hindi versions, etc. So this is also something very important that was highlighted, which one might have missed out while probably reading the judgment, or it might not even be in the judgment. This is something that the particular speaker wanted to highlight. And then when it comes to the representation that was made by the ASG on behalf of the government who had taken the session, this summary also says that he specifically highlighted the entry 49 of the Constitution, discussed as to how mall credit to a mall would be relevant or not, so on and so forth. And then, as I highlighted, the third point is point highlighted in the favor of revenue. What are the points highlighted in the favor of taxpayer? And last, most important is way forward in the matter. And I've personally attended two out of these three sessions, which is where I know that this is correct. Uh, Clarifying with legislative amendments whether this plant and machinery has to stay, or sorry, plant or machinery has to stay, or the government always wanted it to be plant and machinery and not plant or machinery. This was just an error which crept in, and the government wants to clarify it. This is something really important which would decide the fate of this case. Uh, Potential for retrospective changes is also something that was highlighted. And this is how this entire summary has come out. And I think it very succinctly takes out the summary of all three sessions. All three sessions were 1 hour, 30 minutes long. So that's 4.5 hours of work can be done in less than 15 minutes is something that I wanted to highlight. But there were certain important points and use of different softwares or different tools that I wanted to show. The first tool that I showed was YouTube Note GPT, which summarizes or which gives you the transcript of YouTube videos even without even starting the video. Number two is then going to ChatGPT chunker and then putting this entire transcript into the chunks that are acceptable to ChatGPT, then giving a proper prompt and proper instruction to ChatGPT. And the third point that I wanted to cover in generative AI is to how you can effectively prompt the different language learning models in order to get a proper response. I think we are running out of time. We had to reserve last 10 minutes for question answers. I have another 10 minutes before that. So I will very quickly discuss the different tools that I wanted to cover in this session. And if time permits, probably I would show a demo of Power Query. But in the meantime, I'm just coming back to my presentation, and I will very quickly show my thoughts on how the different tools can help. Again, Power Query is a classic example where you can, if you are doing the reconciliation, if you are not using softwares or the softwares are not supporting you, or probably it's the volume that you don't want to use softwares available in the market for reconciliation and you are still using Excel. I think if the reconciliation is currently being done on Excel, what normally people are doing is combining the GST number and the invoice number at both PR and the GSTR 2B level, and then applying a VLOOKUP or doing it with a pivot. If you use Power Query along with there is something called join function under SQL, which is available under merge queries with at Power Query. If time permits, I will definitely show an example. If that is done once, I am very sure that the format in which the GSTR 2B comes in every month from the government portal, that doesn't change. And if you are using an ERP and that ERP gives you a purchase register in a specific format, I'm pretty sure that that format would also not be changing month on month. So if the two formats do not change, I think there is nothing that you have to do on a month on month basis. Just you have to go to Power Query, tell it that where the new purchase register is, where the new GSTR 2B is, and all the steps of modifying the data, applying the reconciliation, everything the Power Query will do on its own. Again, apart from Power Query, I think something important is using advanced Excel and Word functions. You all may be aware that uh, under advanced Excel, there is something called XLOOKUP. However, I still see that people are using VLOOKUP for performing different reconciliation. The advantage of XLOOKUP is that you can have as many number of columns combined together in order to do a lookup. In case of VLOOKUP, you can have a lookup of one column only to another column, which is where you are required to have a concatenate of your GSTN along with the invoice number and then run a lookup on this, which adds a specific formula, a specific column to it. These are all unnecessary things that happen if you are using VLOOKUP. If you are using probably higher MS Office 2019, or I used MS Office 2021 and it has XLOOKUP function, and MS Office 365, of course, has an XLOOKUP function. If you're using XLOOKUP, you need not concatenate the two different columns. You can have five columns looked up at a time. You can have GST number, GST date, and the invoice number on the two different data sets within the one formula, and then can have an output of it. So these are kind of advanced Excel functionalities that one can focus on, highlighting those advanced hidden gems in Excel and Word, and then making use of them and making your work as quick as a superhero Flash. Another thing that comes in is macros. We are all we are all aware what macros do. We know that it records a certain step and then that step is run every time you call a macro. But with ChatGPT and these LLMs coming in, you need not even record your steps. You just have to describe your steps to ChatGPT in a normal form, and it can write various codes for you. So if there is, let's say, your purchase register coming in, you want to modify your purchase register, you want to change your columns order, you want to change the headings of the column. When your GSTR 2B data is downloaded, you want to merge the B2B data and the B2B amendment column into one single file. You can simply go to ChatGPT and say that ChatGPT, I have one Excel file which has two different sheets. One sheet is named X, one sheet is named Y. These are the column headers. Please write me a VBA script where it can take data from one sheet and then also take data from the other sheet and align the columns in such a fashion that if at all there is any extra column in one or the other sheets, the columns are aligned properly to each other and the additional column is put at the last. Just this simple prompt can give you a proper code. You can go back to your developer tab in Excel, or word and run this macro, and your life would be saved by, I mean, the huge number of hours of your life would be saved. Similarly, one more software that I wanted to discuss is called Nime. It is an open source software available, and the low code, no code softwares that I spoke about. Nime is something which is a no code software. It is a low code software, and it has a specific node for each different function. If you want to open an Excel, it has all these tools are called nodes. You just have to import a node into the tool and read your Excel file, and it has the fantastic capability of merging all the files in a folder. If you select a data source as a folder, and if in that folder all your files are having the same structure, same number of columns, same number of column headings, then you need not do anything. It will stack each of the separate files, irrespective of the number of files that are there in one folder. You can have 3 files, you can have 300 files. It will stack the data of each and every file uh, uh, in one file and give you the output. And then you can perform all the normal functions that you want. You want to change the column, you want to create columns, apply formulas. If there are, let's say, different tax amounts, CGST, SGST, and IGST, you want to make a total of it. You want to calculate whether GST rates are proper or not. You want to verify the place of supply. You want to generate all different types of validation and validation error reports. I think this that would be a one-time exercise that you can do on Nime. And then whenever you get a new data in the same format, all you have to do is the change the path of the in going to the Nime, change the path of the relevant document, and then it will perform the same function that it would have done on the last file. Last is robotic process automation, commonly known as RPA, or very commonly known as bots. Uh, there are many softwares available in the market, and most of these softwares have their community edition. All these softwares companies want that there should be a more adoption of their softwares. People should be learning these softwares more. So all these softwares have something called a community edition, which gives you a free version of the software, which might have some limitations on the functionality or some limitations on how you share the work that you have done on a specific software. But these are all softwares which are mostly available free of cost under the community edition of these softwares. And again, in the recent times of no code, low code softwares, all these robotic process automation softwares have these no code tools built in themselves. So if you, a no code software is you can imagine it to be very similar to an Excel or a Microsoft Office macro, wherein the step that you have shown it, it will do it uh, on a repetitive basis, or it will do it just the way you had done it while recording the process. Same is the concept with robotic process automation or the bot. The only difference is that most of the times Excel is limited to the functions that is done in Excel, or to the functionalities or the limitations of the VBA function that is there in Excel. But RPAs can virtually do anything and everything that a human can do sitting in front of a computer. It can click wherever you want. It can save all the files it want. It can type the way you want. It can mimic how an individual would perform. And these are the robotic process automation or bot is the reason why you see those captchas at different website identifying that please identify that you are a human. These captchas try to differentiate a human between a human from a bot or from a robotic process automation script, which is where captchas come in. Again, that's a different topic, not going into detail as of now, but these robotic process automations are something which can ease up your life. You have to download, let's say you are into transfer pricing and you want to get data of, let's say, the uh, investments made by or investments made by different countries, different companies into India, or the approvals given by RBI to companies for FDI, foreign direct investment. So there is a link on the RBI website which gives you the data for each of the month where the different approvals of FDI was given. If you want to download that data on bulk, all you have to train is all you have to do is to train this bot and show it that this is the website you have to go. You have to go to each page, click on this one link, and then save the file here, and then come to Power Query or NIME, and then merge all the files into one format. You can do this for any and every repetitive task that is there. These are the tools that are there. I think it's 4:50. I would hand it over back to Nirav bhai to consider certain questions. And if still we have time, I will quickly show the Power Query reconciliation functionality that I wanted to show. Over to you, Nirav.
Tapas bhai, you can continue for 5-6 minutes further. We can take the question answer session after 5-6 minutes, sir. I think your session is very informative and members are enjoying it. So before
Sure,
jumping to the question answer session, you can continue with the session for further 5 minutes, sir. We like to
sure.
have more of information from you, sir.
Sure, sure, sure. So then, what I will do is let me just go to my Power Query folder and I will show it. So first thing that I wanted to show is a fundamental concept of join, which is in SQL. Imagine A as your purchase register and B as your GSTR 2A. What we are interested normally in terms of reconciliation is whatever is matching. So the moment your GSTIN plus the invoice number matches, that is a match transactions. The transaction which is out, if you see the last image, I think the last two images are relevant for us when it comes to a GST reconciliation. What we look at when we want an reconciliation of the data, which is which is available both in the PR as well as in GSTR 2B, it is known as inner join. And when it comes to the data which is only in purchase register, it is known as left outer join, which is this image number, second image on my left. And when it is come to only in purchase register, only in GSTR 2B, that is number B, that is called right outer. So inner join, left outer and right outer is something that is very relevant for us. So what I'll do is I will open a new Excel sheet and I will quickly show where Power Query is. I'm going to a new Excel sheet. I'm going to, just give me a second. Yeah. So I'm going to data tab. Now in this data tab, there is an option called get data from file. I will go here. I will say that I need data from an Excel workbook. It will probably ask me for a path. I will come back to my Excel, let it load for some time. I will give it a path and this is my purchase register. I will import it. So as soon as I import it, a new window will open, which many of you might not have seen. If you have not seen Power Query, this window would be very new. It would be within Excel, but it would be something which is new. So I go to the Power Query and there are two options. I can either load the entire data. In my case, let me quickly show you the transformation, etc. that I was talking about, the steps that I was talking about. Anytime I import a new data, I can go to Power Query and I can I can change the data. So this is the data that I have. Now what I want is I want a column at the I want a column at the end. So what I'll do is yeah, just give me a second. I will go to this add column and I will give it I will give it a custom column, and very simply there would be one custom formula that would come in, and I would give a formula, and by brackets I'm giving it the different columns that are there. So first I will select CGST, then I will give it plus, then I will select SGST, then again plus, and then I will say IGST, and then I will give OK. So if you see, it says added custom column. Now my data, see 165, 165, 330 is done. Next time, if I have a new data, I have to just go and refresh the query. It will import the data, add the custom column on its own. I will go here and I will rename and I will rename the column header and I will say total tax. It is again, it has added the step. If I had made a mistake in the step, I can come back and remove this step and it will go back. So without spending more time on it, this is my purchase data that has been done. I have transformed it. What I will do is I will close data and I will load it. Now what I need is I need my uh, purchase, I need my GSTR2B data. Again, I will go to Excel workbook and I will select the GSTR2B. In my purchase register, there was only one sheet, but in my GSTR2B, there would be different sheets, which is being highlighted to me. I am selecting this and I'm again going to transform data because there are certain rows which I want to remove uh, from my GSTR2B. So what I'll do is I will uh, yeah I will go to the remove rows tool and I will select the relevant rows and I will select each row one by one and I will remove the rows. It is asking me how many rows do you want to remove. I will say remove the top three rows. That step is added and now I have my different columns. I just want to see whether this is properly the way I wanted or not. But my tax etc. comes into a different column. So I will again go to this step and I will say that no, not first three. I want to remove the first four columns. Sorry, the first four rows. The first four rows have been uh, seems they have been removed, and now I can go here and I can yeah. So this is done. I can close and load this data. So my GSTR2B data is also ready. And very quickly, how do you then reconcile data is something that has to be seen now. So just allow me 1 second. Yeah. So I will again go to my data tab. I will go to queries and connection, which takes me to the Power Query window on the side. I will click on B2B. And as soon as I go to I mean, any of the queries, just give me a second. Let me just promote the header. So yeah, I selected one more step and I promoted my header. So now I will be able to see the CGST, SGST, etc. in my first column. This query is here. Now, in order to do the merge, in order to check the reconciliation, what I will do is I will go to queries. I will go to merge queries. In merge query, it is showing me the two data. The first data, which is my B2B, which is actually the GSTR 2B. So I will select sheet one first, which is my purchase register. And in sheet two, I will select my B2B sheet from the GSTR 2B. I am selecting GSTN here, selecting column number one, which is GST here. Then I'm pressing control and selecting invoice number. So that is the second criteria it is going to match. And for now, let us match only these two things and I'm going to click OK. It has merged, it has given me a new query. At the end of it, if you see, the first table is there, which is the purchase register, and then it gives me a B2B data. I will have to expand that column and I will have to just say what are the column numbers that I want. Right now, I will say column number one, which is GST number and the invoice number column, and I will click OK and I will click on close and load. As soon as I click on close and load, it will generate the reconciliation from me. And let's see, I mean, it was a very fresh data that I had brought in, but let's see the first one, whether it has any matching or not. It doesn't have. Let us apply filter and see. Yes, there are a lot of invoices which have matched. I'm just removing the blank columns as of now. And if you see the first one, OC 212211M13 is the same invoice number that is there. The best part of it now is the next time when you have a new file, all you have to do is either delete these two files and put the new file with the same name, or come here, go to data, go to queries and connection, and you don't have to do anything with the merge. You have to just double click on sheet one, come to the first step, which is the source. Select the click on the source. You will be able to see the path here. You just have to come here and change the path and the file name and click OK. Same thing you have to do for the purchase register as well as the GSTR2B. If it has been saved on the new path, come here and just click on this refresh button it will do all the functions that I did. It will import the purchase register data. It will import the GSTR 2B data. It will do all the transformation, changing the column, adding the total column, changing the column heading, coming to GSTR 2B, only selecting the B2B. And if you want to do certain changes in GSTR 2B as well, all doing all those changes, and then doing the merge queries, and then getting into giving you a data of that merge query, and giving you side by side whatever number of data that you want. In fact, one very last thing before I close is, if you see this merge query setting that I had done, the audience would definitely have a question that uh, what happens if there is a slight mismatch in case of invoices. It will not, the invoice have to match exactly when I have what I had done right now is being done, but there is an option of fuzzy matching where you can give a threshold into the fuzzy matching. So if you say the GST number, for example, sometimes people make a mistake of changing the state code incorrectly, or making a change of either O to 0 or I to L. These are the some differences. So you can come here, and in the fuzzy logic, you can give a criteria. You can select on use fuzzy matching, and you can see that I want matching of 80%, 80% of my data. And then you can click OK. It will do the fuzzy matching. And if there is an error of slash or dash up to 80% of the string value, if it is matching, it will still give you a reconciliation, which might also solve your issues where there is a slight mismatch of special characters, or I mean, different types of mismatches which are there while reconciling GST data. That was it from my side on Power Query as well.
Thank you
Let me
so
know.
much, Tapas. Thank you so much, Tapasvi, for the wonderful session. It is my honor and privilege to propose a heartiest vote of thanks, sir. Sir, your session was very insightful and informative. So I'm not finding any questions on the chat box. So it's thank you so much for sparing your valuable time and sharing your rich expertise with the members at large. I'm sure the members present here would have gained an invaluable knowledge from your heartiest presence, sir. Now, moving
Thank you very
forward,
much.
we have with us the second faculty for the session, Urvi Shah sir with us. Uh, Urvi Shah sir, if you can hear us.
Yes, Nirav, very good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you so much for inviting me today. Thank you, CP committee. Thank you, Nirav. And let me just congratulate Tapas the way in which you presented. It was very informative and very clear.
Sir,
My
before
topic.
handing over the charge, sir, it will be my privilege to introduce you before the members at large, sir. Um, first of all, it was my privilege to be your student, sir, during my initial chartered accountancy day. And sir, I'm privileged to announce that we are having over 350 members at present listening to you, sir. CA Urvi Shah, sir, has worked as a co-opted member of the Committee on Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of ICI for the year 2023 and 24. And sir is the chairman of Audit Committee of NABARD. Sir is also an independent director on the board of NABARD. Sir has taught various subjects to more than 20,000 chartered accountant and company secretary students, and have also published two books for CA intermediate and CA final students with nationwide circulation on the subject of audit and assurance. With this brief introduction, I'd like to welcome CA Urvisha sir to this seminar on CP committee, and the sir would be dealing us with the topic on professional ethics for the chartered accountants.
Thank you so much, Nirav, once again. And within this limited time of 1 hour, I need to explain you a very important topic. In fact, ethical requirement is there in every profession, and it is there in medical profession, it is there in legal profession, and equally important in CA profession. Uh, why such professional ethics are needed? Let me just convey you about this particular point in a way that there is a difference between illegal and unlawful. What is the basic difference between illegal and unlawful? Like if you uh, commit a mistake or commit break a law, but which is not in a form of crime, then it would be treated as unlawful. It's treated as non-criminal breach of law, which is not crime, but still it's a breach of law. Like if you break a traffic signal, so that's not a crime, but yes, it's a breach of law. Whereas illegal has an element of crime. In case of illegal, you might face someone might face the the imprisonment as well as monetary payments and the punishments. Whereas in case of unlawful, it will be only the fine which you will have to face. Now, coming to unethical. First is illegal, then is unlawful. Now, coming to unethical, which is not allowed it by ethics, which might be a personal ethics or which might be the ethics which are there in the profession. So, today's agenda is to make discussion about what is expected by our profession. And unfortunately, after becoming chartered accountant, the first thing which we forget that is professional ethics, which we use to clear the examination of CA. But afterwards, it is not helping us to generate revenue. We remember Income Tax Act, we remember GST, we remember Companies Act, because it is helping us in our profession. But as I mentioned that this ethics, everyone need to remember, because if someone is doing something wrong in the profession, it's not the individual, he or she who would be spoiling their individual image, rather is spoiling the image of entire profession. So it's a compulsory requirement from the side of ICAI to have this kind of sessions on professional ethics. And today, the agenda which I want to discuss that is related with professional ethics, the the reason why chartered accountants are facing such kind of issues. And in case of medical profession, medical council is taking decision. In case of legal profession, bar council is taking decision. Whereas in case of chartered accountancy profession, yes, yeah. In case of a legal profession, it's a bar council which is taking decision. Whereas in case of chartered accountancy profession, previously we had only ICI's council, but nowadays you might be aware that even NAFRA is also involved in all such processes, and where they are taking action against chartered accountants, specifically when it's a matter related with a corporate body. So there are two agencies which would take action against chartered accountant if anything wrong is being found. Now, wrong in what sense? What is the basic difference between a common man and a professional? I want to say that common man is being punished only for something intentional, whereas a professional, a chartered accountant, a doctor, a lawyer is being punished for something intentional as well as unintentional. If intentionally you are doing something wrong, you would be punished, but unintentional, if there is a negligence on your part, still you would be punished, because negligence is not expected from any professional. You can't commit a mistake. That's why they give you respect, and that's why you have value in the society. So a common man is always punished for something intentional, whereas we are being punished for something intentional as well as something unintentional. You can't say, oh, sorry, I was not aware of this fact. So there are two words, uh, gross misconduct and gross negligence. Misconduct is something intentional and negligence is something unintentional. So why it happens, the reason, if we, instead of going for clauses, I will cover as far as possible maximum number of clauses which are there in our profession, which you studied years back, probably when you were studying for CA journey in CA final. But what is happening? What is happening wrong? Why some chartered accountant is facing such kind of action from the side of NAFRA or from the side of CA Institute? So what are the reasons behind? One by one, if we see the reason number one, that is a grade in a form that in a shorter duration, shortcuts we want to take. On a last date, maybe somewhere around 30th September, someone is offering us tax audit and we are accepting out of our grid because we have a capacity of 60 and we have reached only 55. But on a last day or in a last week when you are accepting, there is always a doubt, can you perform or not? Normally, this subject which we were studying during our academic life, that was auditing and assurance. So first of all, you need to audit and then after you should give assurance. But when you are approaching in a deadline, at that time, there is no auditing, straight away assurance. And in that situation, because of your grit to become rich very fast, CA is a degree which is, I believe it's a best combination of Lakshmi and Saraswati. I have not seen any poor chartered accountant. So everyone is rich. Someone is having 3 cars, someone is having 1 car, but everyone is having some sort of revenue in their pocket after becoming chartered accountant. So you need to control your grid, because I have seen senior chartered accountants after getting such kind of notices, either from the side of ICAI or from the side of NAFRA, they are regretting a lot. So after spending 25 years, 30 years in a professional life, and all of a sudden they are getting a letter from the side of institute that this kind of mistakes you have committed and you need to answer. So you need to control your grid of making money, and in a shorter duration. It's obviously money is important, but at the same time you need to follow the process. Second, there is a fear of losing work. Sometimes it is happening that the client is representing 40% of our total revenue, and then after, or 50%, and then after he's offering a certain work which is not ethically allowed it to us, and where we start accepting such kind of work, he's asking us example, say for example that we were doing a stock taking, and he has taken a good amount of CC, and we were supposed to submit a stock statement, but the amount which is actually there is not matching with the stock. So in that case, we raised this issue, but he said that now you need to accommodate us. And we are accommodating, the reason that a larger part of my revenue is coming from that particular client. But in a way, eventually, a bank or any other agency may take action, may make a complaint to ICI. So fear of losing that particular client is always dragging us in that direction where we accept some work which is not otherwise preferable. Third thing, that is a lack of knowledge. Everyone is good in our profession. It's not unlike medical profession where there is an expertise, maybe a heart surgeon, maybe eye surgeon, maybe for any other part of the body. But in our profession, everything is general. Someone is doing work of audit, he does have expertise in audit, not having enough expertise in taxation or GST, but as and when client is offering, is accepting that work. So either you should have enough resources with you which can handle that work, or you should deny. So if you don't have a knowledge of a particular field, and if you accept that work, eventually there's a possibility that you may mess up that work, and client might approach ICI and may file complaint against a chartered accountant. So lack of knowledge, because you would have expertise in a specific area. You might be expert in the area of audit, maybe in a project finance, maybe in income tax, maybe in GST. But we can't expect that you do have expertise in all the areas. But yes, you can manage the resources within your team. You may have such partners, or you may have such paid staff which is eventually handling such kind of work. Third, that is a lack of resources. Fourth, that is a lack of resources. We are getting clients, but we don't have enough staff, and staff or paid staff or the interns or the partners who can handle that work. So eventually, we need to match with the deadline, and we don't have the enough resources. And that's why we try to cover up work in a shorter duration with a shorter resources, and we are giving an opportunity to the client to file a complaint against the chartered accountant. Lack of management. Even in our academic journey, we learn the subject that was a strategic management. That subject we didn't learn to help the client to manage their business. Rather, we learn how to manage our own office. Up to what time a chartered accountant is doing audit? He's doing audit till the time he becomes chartered accountant. Afterwards, he's not doing audit, rather, he's managing the audit. So the management fundas you need to apply, that is planning, scheduling, controlling, supervision. These are the management fundas which we need to implement, and we need to follow it so that we can handle the work in a smooth manner, and we don't give any opportunity to the client that he may take some action against us. The relationship. I want to say that in our profession, even in a Companies Act, it is being said that you cannot take the work of your relative. You cannot do the attest function. You cannot conduct the work of audit as per Companies Act requirement of section 141, or it is also there in chartered accountancy profession, and where they have given definition of a relative. What is the logic behind? So there is a threat which is known as a familiarity threat. So familiarity threat is saying that you should not conduct the work of audit of someone who is familiar to you, because you won't be able to give an independent opinion, and that is quite logical. But within that definition of a relative, we don't have a friend. So can we accept the work from some friend The answer is yes. Actually, it is being allowed it under Companies Act, it is being allowed it under the Chartered Accountant Act. But what do you think in case of friend, if we accept the work, will I be in a position to give a qualified or adverse report? I would say no. So my professional standards are allowing me that you can accept the work even from a friend because it's not falling within the definition of a relative. But yes, my personal standards are not allowing me because I won't be able to maintain the independence and I won't be able to give independent expression of opinion. So I would be little biased because of that familiarity, and there is a familiarity threat, and that's why because of that reason I should avoid that work. So you might face any legal consequences or any cases from the side of institute or NAFRA in any of this situation. There might be a greed, there might be a greed, fear of losing work, lack of knowledge, lack of resources, lack of enough management, and your personal terms or relationship with the client. Now, at the same time, we use these shortcuts that some work is not being allowed it to us directly. And what we do, we create some other organization where we make our relative a partner or a proprietor and we take that work. So we are using these shortcuts and we are pretending as if this work is not done by us, rather it is being done by some other agency, which is directly or indirectly related with you. So such kind of shortcuts when you are taking for the work which is not being allowed it to you directly, you are taking an indirect way and you are taking that work. So that might be the reason why such kind of ethical failure we may face. Last moment audit, as I said, in the last week of September, or maybe as and when we are approaching a deadline, because there is a huge amount of penalty otherwise on the client, so they would force you. And we are giving the excuses that he's not providing us accounts well in time so that we can conduct the work of audit or we can do enough justice. He gave us accounts in the last week. So, but by and large, you in advance you can communicate to your client as and when you fix your terms by following SA 210 that I need your accounts at least a month before the deadline or 2 months before the deadline. Otherwise, better you choice or you select some other chartered accountant. At the same time, I have seen in my professional experience that in a partnership firm of client, uh, in some business disputes, they consider us as a judge and they ask us to resolve the query and to give some justice. Like they have a dispute on one issue, which is not in other way related with accountancy, not in related other way with the audit or taxation or GST. It is a business dispute. And they consider us knowledgeable, they trust us. And when they ask that you just convey that who is correct and who is wrong. And in what we do, we give justice. We try to give justice which otherwise would be correct. But in that case, we are favoring one partner. So when you are favoring one partner, it means that you are against the other partner. And in my professional experience, I have seen that the other partner to whom you are not favoring is approaching ICI and filing action against chartered accountant. So we should avoid the work which is beyond our scope. They trust us very good, but we should handle their professional matters beyond professional matters, business related matters or personal life related matters. We should avoid as far as possible. Else, there are cases in the past that chartered accountant face the consequences. Lack of knowledge of ethical requirement. In fact, day by day, institute is becoming strict. They are bringing new norms. They are keeping compulsory CPRs. You need to attend it. You need to read a lot. You need to keep your staff ready who can read for the firm and who can guide the others. So the way in which you have income tax in charge, GST in charge, audit in charge, in a similar way, to be on a safer side as a part of our internal control system within our firm, we should also have one in charge who can take care of these ethical matters and who is keeping the entire team updated about the ethical requirements. Because in a recent past, you might have seen that the big firms face consequences from the side of NAFRA, and they are taking very strict actions and a huge amount of penalty they levy, and all things comes in a public domain, whether action is being taken by institute or action is being taken by NAFRA. The matter would come in a public domain, and as and when it is coming in a public domain, there's a big, uh, apart from monetary penalty, it's a big disreputation. So to avoid this situation, better we should keep ourselves updated. The way in which we keep ourselves updated for income tax, GST audit, or Companies Act, in a similar way, we should keep ourselves updated with the ethical requirement. Anywhere you find any situation where your independence would be compromised, in that situation, you should avoid that kind of position. Say, for example, you are being an auditor of a particular company, and they are offering you a position of independent director in a sister concern. So otherwise, in a way, it might be allowed it by the institute, but at the same time, it may hamper, because now you are coming in a managerial role. Independence means what? You should not be in a managerial role. Like if they offer you that you do the accounting work or you do the internal audit work, can we accept? We can't accept, because that would, now we would be on a managerial role, and we are favoring more management because we are doing accounting work, because we are doing the internal audit work. That if we at the same time we accept the work like statutory audit, our independence would be compromised. So better we should avoid a situation where our independence would be compromised. We should be exactly in the middle, neither on the side of management nor on the side of shareholders. We should be in middle, and we need to give an independent expression of opinion. What safeguard? We need to make a regular induction of the staff. We need to train the staff. Induction you are doing at the time as and when any new staff enter, but that is for the office requirement. But apart from that, we need to make them aware about the professional requirement, the ethical requirement. Specifically in respect of any particular audit, when you start, you should also train your staff that these are the do's and don'ts. Because as and when any chartered accountant is facing a case of negligence, uh, there's a possibility that he might not have followed any particular essay, and that's why the client is taking action against chartered accountant. Now the work is done by the staff was not aware about that particular essay. Example, if I give you that, we got a work where we are evaluating or auditing any prospective information, not the historic data, but a prospective data. Now, the staff which is engaged for this is just having experience of doing audit of the historic data, not the prospective data. In case of historic data, we follow SA. But in case of prospective data, we can't follow SA. Rather, we need to follow SAE, Standard on Assurance Engagement, that is 3400, 3402. So we need to keep our staff aware about it, that in a historic data, transactions have already taken place, and you need to get evidence in support of those transactions. Whereas in case of a prospective data, transaction yet to take place. And as transaction yet to take place, there are no evidences in support of those transactions. So there should be evidences in support of assumption based on which this PFI, prospective financial information, is prepared. Now, who would tell about this, all this fact to the staff? It's your responsibility that to tell your staff about the essays which needs to be implemented as and when any particular audit is being conducted or any work is being done. At the same time, there has to be a strong internal control system in our organization where a work of one person is checked by other. We know that there is a concept of engagement partner, engagement team headed by engagement partner, but his work would be reviewed by a reviewer. And in a recent judgment, specifically by NAFRA, they levied the penalty first on the firm. Then after they made the engagement partner personally responsible. And then after they made the reviewer responsible. So the firm is first responsible, then after the engagement partner is responsible, and then after they made the reviewer responsible. So the work of reviewer is to see that the work is performed according to the requirements which are being established as per the standards, as well as the standards of a particular firm. At the same time, there should be a standard operating process, and there should be a checklist. There should not be any deviation without permission by the staff. And as and when there is any deviation, it should be informed and the reason should be properly communicated. I want to tell you that one practice which everyone can adopt uh, to avoid such kind of consequences, specifically in an audit work, from top of the trading account to the bottom of balance sheet. For every individual matter in a financial statement, you can apply one essay. Suppose in a balance sheet there is a debtor, we should go for debtor's confirmation. That is essay 505. Suppose there is an opening balance, we need to apply essay 510, that is initial engagement opening balance. Suppose there is a sale, amount of sales or purchase invoices are there, we apply essay 500. So for every matter of trading account, P&L account, balance sheet, every matter which we certify, individually we do have essay for every matter. So what you should do in your organization, that you should make a list of essay which should be applied for each and every matter. There is no matter in a financial statement for which no individual essay is there. So for every matter there is one essay. So guide your staff in a way that for this matter follow this essay, make a documentation of it. So in future, if you face any kind of such kind of legal consequences, you can give a proof that I followed this particular essay, which is being said by ICI, and this is a proof that enough documentation is available. So no matter will be left out in a financial statement. So do this task, give this task to your staff, that for every matter in a financial statement, such one essay. If I just give you an example, for say for example, like if a client has faced any litigation, so it will fall within contingent liability, and that is an off-balance sheet item. It won't affect any P&L account amount or balance sheet total. It's an off-balance sheet matter. So for that particular contingent liability, how to conduct work of audit? So for that purpose, one essay is that is essay 501. So you need to tell your staff in advance that you need to follow for contingent liability essay 501, apply it, follow it if there is a contingent liability. It's not that all essays will be followed, but at least we can make our staff aware of this particular fact. Moving ahead, at the same time, Institute is providing three different material. Number one, on the website of Institute, there is a column, as well as in the journal, they are giving a column that is Know Your Ethics, and where they are giving you list of do's and don'ts. Can we do this thing or not? So it's more in a form of ready reckoner that eventually we can search that a particular thing we can do or not. Example, if I give you that there are three partners and they can do 180 tax audit. So is it possible that an individual person can conduct can sign all 180 tax audit? The answer is yes, subject to requirement of SQC1. So where I would get this answer? I will get this answer from a ready-made column of ICI, that is Know Your Ethics. At the same time, periodically, ICAI is taking action against some chartered accountant and keeping it on a platform of ICI's website. In a similar way, NAFRA is also taking a judgment against some chartered accountant and keeping it on a public platform. So what we should do, at least once in a month, we should take it as a case study. We should give it to our staff that make a case study. You just search that what went wrong and why ICI or NAFRA took action against that particular chartered accountant. And in that way, at least we will come to know about the mistakes which we should not commit. Either we have two options: we take an experience and learn out of it, or we take the benefit of experience of someone else. So here already all information is there on our website. So we can give this task to our staff that you should make a case study once in a month, only once in a month, the latest judgment, what went wrong, what mistake was committed by chartered accountant, what mistakes happened in that particular case, and what is a learning lesson out of it. And this should be a routine practice in your firm. So at least 12 cases in all each month you will discuss in total 12 months, and that would be a learning lesson for you. So use the resources which are being provided by ICI, Know Your Ethics column, ICI's judgment, as well as judgments provided by the NAFRA. Now, what is the process? In fact, sometimes people ask me about the process, how this action starts and what are the steps which are being taken by ICA. I will give you a little idea about it, not in detail, because I want to cover few clauses. So, first of all, the action would be taken under Section 21 of Chartered Accountant Act, and anyone can make an application to the Director Discipline in a specific form, that is Form 1, and where a complaint can be filed against some chartered accountant. Now, number one, you file an official complaint in Form 1, or else you write a letter to ICI. That is the second point. You write a letter to ICI that I want to file a complaint against this particular chartered account and this has happened. So when you are providing such information to ICI, the ICI will ask you that you file a formal complaint. And when you are filing a formal complaint, the same process will take place. But they do not entertain any anonymous information without name or without any. You need to write your name as a complainant. As and when any chartered ICI is getting detail against some chartered accountant in a Form 1, under Section 21, the Director Discipline is getting such information. He will send these details to that particular chartered accountant within the next 60 days. And that chartered accountant will be given a time of 21 days to reply on it. On a request, the ICI may also, the Director Discipline may also give extension, one-time extension of 30 days. Now, as and when Director Discipline is getting a reply from the chartered accountant, respondent, he will send the same details to the complainant. And complainant will get an option to send a rejoinder. He can send the rejoinder within 21 days, and again, for sending this rejoinder, he can ask for one-time extension of 30 days. Now, the Director Discipline is available with the response from the side of respondent as well as complaint as well as rejoinder. If needed, the Director Discipline may ask for the additional information, either from the complainant or from the respondent. And now, after getting all such details, if he finds any prima facie ground that yes, there is a base to entertain such kind of complaint, in that case, they may forward these details either to Board of Discipline, or in case the complaint is related with a second schedule. There are two schedules in Chartered Accountant Act. Related with first schedule, it will be given to the Board of Discipline. Related with the second schedule, it will be given to disciplinary committee. In a layman's language, I would say that first schedule is a smaller crime and second schedule is a bigger crime. So if the crime level is low, it will fall within first schedule, and where it would be given to Board of Discipline. If it is something related with a second schedule, or the complaint covers both first and second schedule both, then it would be given to disciplinary committee. Now, chartered accountant in this case may face action even from a proprietorship firm, from a partnership firm where he conducted tax audit, and even from a corporate client, maybe a private limited company. So everyone can complain with ICI. And I want to tell you that majority of the complaint which chartered accountants are facing, they are facing from regulatory bodies, from banks, from income tax department, from GST department, from SEBI. So they are filing maximum cases against chartered accountants. So for any matter, you can approach ICAI for filing complaint against chartered accountant. But if it is a client which is a corporate client, there is one more option. Corporate client of certain size, there is one more option which is there, and that is Section 132 of Companies Act, where even chartered accountant against chartered accountant complaint can be made in NAFRA. NAFRA will entertain the complaint in certain cases, not in all cases. It will entertain complaint if it is a listed entity, banking company, insurance company, electricity company. At the same time, in case of unlisted entity, unlisted public company, listed, the criteria itself listed is enough. For unlisted public company, either satisfy any of these three criteria. Paid up capital is more than 500 crore, borrowing is more than 500 crore, or turnover is more than 1,000 crore. So the case would be built only in this situation. First of all, it should be a corporate client. listed entity or banking, insurance or electricity company. In case of unlisted public company, the case would be formed if the paid up capital is more than 500 crore, borrowing is more than 500 crore, or turnover is more than 1000 crore. Only in those cases, the NAFRA will entertain an action against or case against a chartered accountant. Now, how does it happen? The NAFRA may take action suo motu, or there may be some reference from the side of central government. What amount of penalty? And we have seen in a recent past that penalty amount has reached to 10 crore rupees in a individual cases. You might be aware, on the ground of confidentiality, though it is not in a public, though it is already there in a public domain, I don't want to name, but there is a penalty amount up to 10 crore. So what can be the amount of penalty if it is a proprietorship concern, individual firm? In that case, the minimum amount is 1 lakh, and which can go up to 5 times the amount of remuneration. Whereas in case of a partnership firm of chartered accountant, the amount of penalty minimum amount that is 5 lakhs, and it can go up to 10 times the amount of the remuneration which that particular firm got from that particular client. At the same time, it's not they are just imposing monetary penalty, they are keeping restriction from working in a corporate entity, any type of work in a corporate entity. It's not only the statutory audit, even the internal audits you can't do from 6 months to 10 years. So it would be their decision whether to impose penalty and restriction both, or that would be absolute decision of NAFRA. So it should be very clear that we can face action from the side of individual, a proprietorship concern, partnership concern, bank, or maybe any statutory body. They can make application either to ICI, as well as they can make in certain cases application to NAFRA. But NAFRA will entertain only in case of corporate structure and not otherwise. Now moving ahead, that I need to talk about the clauses. Basically, Chartered Accountant Act is being bifurcated, as I mentioned previously, in two parts, that is first schedule and second schedule. And first schedule, where there are 4 parts. Part 1 is applicable to CA in practice. Part 2 is applicable to CA in service. Part 3 is applicable to CA in general. CA in general means maybe a practicing, maybe service, maybe not doing anything, running his own business. Whoever has taken the membership will fall under part 3. And part 4, which is applicable for the other misconduct, which is not a professional misconduct. What does it mean? Even if I do something wrong in my personal life, which is not something related with professional life, still institute may take action against chartered accountant. Now in a personal life, if I'm doing something wrong, why institute will take? Because eventually it is bringing disreputation to the name of ICI. So I have seen a matter of divorce where wife filed complaint against the husband, and where she wrote so many things which are personal details and filed complaint against the chartered accountant. And in that case, institute took action against chartered accountant, not under the head of professional misconduct, but under the head of personal misconduct, the other misconduct. So if you are doing something professionally wrong, that first schedule part 1, 2, 3 will become applicable. Part 1 is applicable to CA in practice, part 2 is applicable to CA in service, part 3 is applicable whoever is a chartered accountant, whoever has taken the membership, and part 4 will become applicable where you have not done the professional misconduct, but you have done the other misconduct. In a similar way, as I said, that if the crime level is high, in that case, second schedule will become applicable. And in case of second schedule, there are 3 parts where disciplinary committee will take action. In a first schedule, the board of discipline is taking decision. In a second schedule, the disciplinary committee will take decision, where there are 3 parts only: part 1 CA in practice, part 2 CA in service, and CA in general, and third one, that is other misconduct. So CA in service is not there in a second schedule. CA in practice, CA in general, and third one, that is other misconduct. Now within the same one, if I move ahead, within first schedule part 1, which is applicable to CA in practice, as far as possible, I will try to cover clauses of first schedule. The clause 1 is saying that you cannot allow anyone to use your firm name except your partner or your employee, provided employee is also a CA in practice. The example which I can give you, in your firm, your article, can he make a visiting card that I'm making an article of so and so firm? The answer is no. Credit goes to this clause 1. Who can make the use of firm name? A proprietor, a partner, employee, provided employee is also CA in practice. Then only he or she can make use of firm name, not otherwise. Clause 1. Clause 2, with whom we can share fees. We can share fees with 5. Partner, a retired partner, if it is written within terms. Legal representative after a death of a partner. Other professionals permitted within regulation 53A, the way in which Income Tax Act, income tax rules are there, Companies Act, companies rules are there. In our profession, Chartered Accountant Act and Chartered Accountant regulations are there. So within that, there is a regulation 53A where there is a list of 8 professionals with whom we can make a partnership and we can share fees. Company secretary, ICWA, lawyer. Obviously, when we are saying company secretary, ICWA or lawyer, even their profession should also allow such kind of bilateral partnership. Subject to that, we can make a partnership firm and we can officially share fees. And the 5th one is any CA in practice. So with 5, I can share fees. Number 1, a partner, a retired partner, legal representative after death of partner, any other professional permitted within regulation 53A, and any other CA in practice. I want to tell you on this point, can we share referral fees? Answer is yes. I'm doing audit work of someone. He's offering me income tax work. I'm not comfortable with that work. So I suggested name of some chartered accountant. Can I ask that chartered accountant to provide me a token, a referral fee? The answer is yes. I can share the fees with a chartered accountant even if he is not my partner. Whereas for the other professional, those who are falling in 53A, I can share the fees if and only if he is my partner and not otherwise. Clause 3, which is reverse to clause 2. Clause 2 is saying that you with whom you can share your fees. Clause 3 is saying that you can share fees only of those with whom you are sharing the fees in clause 2. So those 5 will remain same in clause 2 and clause 3. In clause 2, I was sharing my fees, and in clause 3, I can share the fees of those professionals. Clause 4, which is speaking about with whom I can make partnership within India and outside India. Within India, I can make partnership with 2. Number 1, a CA in practice and other professionals permitted within regulation 53B. Previously under clause 2, we learned 53A, but clause 2 was saying that we can share fees with them. But clause 4 is saying that with whom we can make the partnership. The list is same under 53A and 53B. The list is same. First of all, you need to make partnership with them. You can create a multidisciplinary firm, and then after you can share fees. I can show you the impact of the same. Those who are old chartered accountant, those who learn the previous Companies Act and the current Companies Act. In a current Companies Act, the qualification criteria is given within section 141, qualification of chartered accountant. Whereas in the previous Companies Act, the qualification criteria were given under section 226 of Companies Act 1956. In a previous Companies Act, who can become a company auditor, there was a requirement all partners must be CA in practice. 226 of Companies Act. Whereas under new act, the requirement is there under section 141, which says that majority partner must be CA in practice, which allows us that you can create a multidisciplinary firm where other professionals would be a partner with you, still you can be appointed as a company auditor. So who can be a partner with us? Those who are allowed under regulation 53B. So within India, we can make partnership with CA in practice as well as other professionals who are allowed under regulation 53B. Now in abroad, with whom you can make partnership. So they have given three. Number one, whoever is covered under section 415. Section 415, a basic chartered accountant staying in abroad. Nowadays, we know that chartered accountants are creating outsourcing units, and in case of outsourcing units, some partners are going frequently in countries out of India. So, can they be a partner still within our firm? The answer is yes. Second, whoever is being permitted by central government, whoever is being permitted by the council, central government or council. So, central government or council periodically making bilateral type. Sometimes it happens that a commerce minister going abroad and it is pre-decided that they ask our institute to make a bilateral type with the institute which is doing a similar work in a different country, and we are making a bilateral tie and we are making where we are being allowed it to make a partnership. There may be two different types of tie. Number one, you can make a partnership, and number two, there is a criteria of exam exemption. Where if you are becoming an Indian chartered accountant, we have a bilateral tie with Australian CPA where we are just supposed to appear only for two exams. With Canadian CPA where you just need to appear for two exams. So such kind of there are two different types of types either an institute will make or a central government will make, where such kind of bilateral tie would be allowed it, and where either it may be of exam exemption or it may be a partnership. So within India, we can do partnership with two. Outside India, we can do partnership with three. Within India, it may be a CA in practice and other professionals permitted within Regulation 53B. And outside India, it can be Section 415, a basic chartered accountant staying abroad. Second, whoever is being permitted by central government. And third, whoever is being permitted by council. Clause 5, which says that you should not generate work through wrong means and wrong person. It's very general. Wrong means are the means which are not open for the chartered accountant. That we will cover in clause 6 and 7. The means which are not open to the chartered accountant. And wrong persons are the persons who are not allowed it, to become a partner with us. If I give you an example, that suppose I appointed one agent in some other city, I'm staying in Ahmedabad. I appointed one agent in Bhopal that will generate work for me. So first of all, I cannot appoint such kind of agent. If I'm appointing agent, then clause 5 will be applicable. If he's using my firm name, clause 1 will be applicable. And then after, if I'm sharing fees with him, in that case, clause 2 will be applicable. So wrong persons are the persons who are not qualified to be our partner, which we covered in clause 2, 3, 4. And wrong persons are the persons who are not wrong means are the means which are not otherwise allowed it, which we will cover under clause 6 and 7. Clause 6, which is otherwise a very big clause, which keep 4 restrictions on chartered account and major restriction. Number one, we cannot advertise. Second, we cannot issue circular for the public awareness. If there are changes in GST, if there are changes in income tax, we cannot give circulars in a newspaper or otherwise. We can make our client aware. We are not supposed to make public aware through circulars. Number 3, that is a personal communication. We cannot ask someone that allocate some work to us. That personal communication is not allowed. Can we ask some chartered accountant, please give your work to me, because in any form, if you are overburdened, I can help you and we can share the fees. Yes, we can ask. It won't be treated as personal communication. It will be treated as professional communication, but we cannot ask any individual. And the fourth one, that is appearing for an interview. So we can't appear for an interview. Yes, we are currently under part 1. Part 1 is applicable to CA in practice, and CA in practice cannot appear for any interview to get some assignment. Any corporate who was looking for some auditor, and they decided that we'll take interview of 3 or 4 auditors and then after we'll take a call to allocate work. That is where we cannot appear for such kind of interview. We are eventually professionals. So advertisement, appearing for interview, circulars, and personal communication is not being allowed under clause 6. Clause 7, which doesn't allow us disclosing professional achievement and using any designation other than chartered accountant. Disclosing professional achievement, you can't write in your visiting card that is senior most in profession, expert in taxation, or since 1980 or since 1990, such kind of adjectives you can't make use of. There are certain points inside this clauses, but as we are being allotted only 1 hour, so overview I'm giving you. First of all, I said that what is the reason why someone might face such kind of action from ICI. Then I said what safeguards you should have. Now I'm then after I said about the process which they are doing, and now I'm talking about few clauses. So clause 7, you cannot use the professional achievement on visiting card or letterhead or website even. And at the same time, you cannot use any degree other than chartered accountant unless it is being given by any university or any approved institution. So can we use CS? Yes. Can we use ICW or CMA? Yes. Can we use BCom, MCom, doctorate? The answer is yes. But can we use tax consultant? Can we use management consultant? The answer is no. Such kind of designation is neither given by any university nor given by any approved institution. Clause 8, that is a bigger clause which we always know that we need to make a communication with the previous auditor. People tell this as NOC, no objection certificate, but in fact we are doing a professional communication because it's a requirement of clause 8. Can we send SMS? Answer is no. Can we send WhatsApp? Answer is no. It's not a professional way of making communication. Can we send an email? Answer is yes. It was being allowed at post-COVID, but where we need to wait for the reply. We need a proof that the matter is actually being communicated to the previous auditor. And there are certain circumstances where we are bound not to accept the assignment, where the previous auditor convey that I am being removed out of my office only because of the fact that I gave a qualified report. So we are bound not to accept such kind of assignment. Second, that if his undisputed audited fees pending, then we are bound not to accept such kind of assignment. In a similar way, uh, previous auditor, does it mean previous year auditor? The answer is no. Last year, that particular person was not subject to tax audit. He was subject to tax audit maybe 4 5 years back. Now again, he is subject to tax audit. So last year there wasn't any tax audit. So do I supposed to communicate with the person who did the tax audit before 4 5 years? The answer is yes. Previous auditor doesn't mean previous year's auditor. At the same time, clause 9 is saying that as and when you accept a company audit assignment, be careful. You need to see the requirement of section 139, 140, 141, 142 is complied with. 139 is related with the procedure to do appointment of auditor, company auditor. 140 is related with the removal. 141 is related with the qualification. And 142 is related with the remuneration. So being an auditor, we should observe that this all sections are being complied with. Clause 10 is saying that you can't charge fees contingent upon future finding. You can't charge fees in a way like if I win your matter in the income tax appeal, I will charge 10 lakhs. If I lose, I will charge 50,000. So you can't charge your fees contingent upon future finding. You can't charge fees a certain percentage of turnover, a certain percentage of your the amount of profit. Then after you won't be able to carry your work independently. You will remain little biased. Clause 11 is, which is a bigger clause once again, that you can't engage in any business or profession. So you can't be in any business if you are a CA in practice, or you can't be in any other profession. If you are a chartered accountant, if you are a lawyer, you can hold COP either of CA or of LLB. If you are a chartered accountant, if you are company secretary, you can have only COP of either CA or of CS. So we are not being allowed it even to be in some other profession when we are a chartered accountant. So we can't think of a business. So we can't have our own business. Apart from CA in practice, what else we can do? For that purpose, they have given a list, two different lists, and that list is given under Regulation 190 capital A of Chartered Accountancy Regulation, where they have given two lists. Number one, things what you can do freely. And number two, things what you can do subject to prior approval. So things what you can do freely, where if I give you an example, if you are a CA in practice, You want to work in the initial phase, you don't have enough work. You want to work under some chartered accountant in practice. So do I need to ask institute? No, freely. If you are working under, you are CA in practice and working under some CA in practice, you should not ask ICI. But you want to work somewhere else in any company or in any other organization, you want trust, you need to take a prior approval of the ICI. So the things what you can do freely and things what you can do subject to prior approval. These two lists are covered under Regulation 190 capital A. And the last one in this part one, that is who can sign the auditor's report. Proprietorship firm, proprietor can sign. Partnership firm, only partner can sign. Audit report cannot be signed by an employee, even if he is also CA in practice. So one may think that even CS or ICWA our partner, can they sign the auditor's report? The answer is no. Only CA partner can act and sign. So proprietor can sign, partner can sign, but clarification about partner, then only CA partner can act and can sign. So these are the 12 different clauses which are there in a part 1 of first schedule. First schedule where a board of discipline will take action, and part 1 is applicable to CA in practice. We are just left with 2-3 minutes or maximum 5 minutes. So Nirav, what do you say, that is there any question from the side of anyone, or should I complete the first schedule? Any specific question? Or else? So let me just complete the part 2 and part 3. Part 2 is applicable to CA in service where there are only 2 clauses. I cannot share my salaries and I cannot share the fees of others. Part 3, which is CA in general, there are 3 clauses. Number 1, not being a fellow, FCA, still disclosing himself as fellow, not giving information to ICAI, and giving false particulars to the outsider. Either we are not giving information to ICAI or we are giving false particulars to the outsiders. And in last, that is a part 4, which is other misconduct, which is not a professional misconduct of first schedule, where there are 2 clauses. Clause 1, you are being convicted for a term less than 6 months by any civil or criminal court. So that civil or criminal court is taking action against you, say for example, under Negotiable Instrument Act, under Section 138, because of bouncing of checks, they are taking action against you. So that is under some civil act, but at the same time, institute will also take action. So can't we face imprisonment more than 6 months? Yes, you can face, but it's a harsh crime which will not fall in a first schedule, which will fall in a second schedule. And under which we do have second clause, which is saying that you are doing something which is deriving disreputation to the ICI. In that situation, if you are doing something bringing disreputation to the ICI, so in that particular case, eventually ICI is going to take action against you. So that is all about first schedule. I could cover only first schedule, not completely. I just give you an overview of why someone would face an action. Number 2, the safeguard. Number 3, the procedure. And number 4, that is about the first schedule. Over to Nirav.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, audible.
Sir, I am not finding any questions on the chat box. I'm requesting members once again. Yes, we have the question with us. So there is one question from Bangalore, which says whether a chartered accountant can act as a GST consultant.
He can act as a GST consultant, but he can't write on his visiting card or a letterhead that chartered accountant and GST consultant, because such kind of tag is neither given by any university or any approved institution. So obviously we can work as a GST consultant, income tax consultant, but we can't write on letterhead or a visiting card.
Okay.
The reference clause is clause 7, part 1, first schedule.
The co-speaker, Tapas Ruparelia sir, is asking a question that can a 2 practicing chartered accountant be a partner in a firm, the name of which is not approved by the council? For example, 2 practicing chartered accountant having a firm Tax Advisors LLP.
Which is not approved by?
the council, the firm name is not approved by the council. They want to keep the firm name as Tax Advisors LLP.
Yes.
And in the Tax Advisors LLP, there are two chartered accountants, practicing chartered accountant are the partners.
So you won't be having your firm name when it is not being allowed by the council. So it's a different firm which you are creating. Do you have any proprietorship concern or only straight away partnership concern?
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, that the new practicing firm will not have his own FRN number.
They won't have an FRN number.
Okay.
The very simple question is, two chartered accountants are practicing as individuals or they have a separate firm also having an FRN number. But
Yes.
for the purpose of tax consultancy, they want to have this fancy name Tax Advisors LLP, which is not allowed as per the naming guidelines. So can they
Yes.
still have this firm on the side, which is a non-audit firm?
Yes. So if it is a non-audit firm, you can have, but you cannot hold a COP in that situation. Yeah, I'm saying that without having COP, you can have whatever name you want to keep. But when you are having a COP, when you are applying to the firm, you need to keep a firm name which is being within the guidelines of ICN.
Thank you.
Nirubai, you are mute.
Thank you so much, sir, for your invaluable session and your valuable time, sharing your rich knowledge and expertise with the members. I'm sure the young members specifically present here would be benefited with this code of ethics schedule, and this session would refrain them from committing the mistakes which they ought would have committed in the absence of the knowledge. I'm sure that none of the chartered accountant knowingly would have committed any mistake, but unknowingly, because the lack of knowledge to say, or in the pressure of someone from the senior bankers or someone, they get into trouble themselves. But this session would help them from refraining themselves from ending up into this trouble or something. Sir, you're on mute. You mute, sir. Urvi, sir. Hello. Sir, you are mute, sir. Urvi, sir, you are on mute, sir.
Yes,
now audible. Now audible, sir.
Yes. I just want to say thank you, CP committee, and thank you, Nirubai, and thank you, ICN.
Thank you, participants, for your valuable time and attending the session in large. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirubai. Thank you, CP committee. Thank you.